And our final speaker tonight is Hilary McAllister from Ben & Jerry's. Hilary is based here in Gadigal Land in Sydney and is an activism manager at Ben & Jerry's. She leads strategic development and execution of climate justice campaigns, supporting grassroots campaigners across the country. Alongside her role at Ben & Jerry's, Hilary is also CEO and co-founder of the incredible 4 Wild Places, a not-for-profit dedicated to protecting wild places under threat. Hilary's path into activism has been anything but conventional, but throughout her journey, she has remained deeply committed to building movements that empower communities to protect the planet. Please join me in welcoming Hilary to the stage.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's fantastic to be here, and thanks for coming out on the last weekday of Climate Action Week. I feel like this week I've met a lot of people in person that I've met on Zoom, and including one of those is Camille that we met way back when at the start of Xylo Systems. So it's just fantastic to see so many things coming in full circle this week. I've been at the role of activism manager at Ben & Jerry's for exactly 1 year. I landed in Sydney, moving up from Victoria on the first day of Climate Action Week last year, and was like, wow, this looks like a great event. I have to get involved next year. So it's really awesome to be here. My background is, like I said, it's a conventional path. I started unconventional. I started as an interior designer and eventually moved into event design until COVID put a swift end to that. But for a while, I'd had the pull of doing work that was more aligned to my values. So COVID was, for me, an opportunity to shift up what I was doing. And that was when I co-created for Wild Places. And since then, for the past 6 years, have been on a path for climate and nature justice. I actually grew up in the Wimmera, in those beautiful places that Camille shared with us earlier, on a family broadacre sheep and wheat farm. This upbringing in spending a lot of time out in the bush really shaped my relationship to nature. We did a lot of camping holidays, and similar to Western, it was like, get outside and we don't want you back here until the sun goes down. And for me, that's meant I feel very comfortable in nature and love spending a lot of time out there, and has shaped the work that I'm doing today. So after COVID happened, I started to look at work that was more aligned with my values. I got into politics because I realised that was a really opportunity to create change. Ran for the Greens a few times down in Victoria before eventually getting a job working with Victoria's first regional Greens MP. And it was in that role when I discovered that Ben & Jerry's had an activism manager role. And having worked in the non-for-profit and then government space, corporate was a world that I wanted to get into because I understood that that was where a lot of the money was. And I wanted to see a lot of these companies using more of that money to support the campaigns and the places that I wanted to help protect. And Ben & Jerry's is a very unique company. We are owned, until recently, it was Unilever. We're now part of the Magnum ice cream company, but we do business in a really different way. So working with Ben & Jerry's at Ben & Jerry's was an opportunity for me to learn how can we foster change from the inside. And so I want to rewind to 1978 from the creation of Ben & Jerry's. So this is Ben & Jerry, best mates who took a $5 correspondence course in ice cream making. There were a couple of self-confessed hippies and they wanted to create a product that would serve as a vehicle for progressive social change. They opened their first scoop store in 1978 in a renovated gas station in Burlington, Vermont, and celebrated being in business a year later by hosting their first free cone day, where every customer received free scoop, except for visibly pregnant women who received 2. Free cone day still exists today, and once a year, every store across our global network serves free ice cream from midday till 10 p.m, no questions asked, eat as much as you like. Between you and me, put the 5th of May in your diary. But free ice cream aside, what makes Ben & Jerry's stand out? The same 3-part mission that Ben & Jerry's set 48 years ago still leads the company today, focusing on product, economics, and social mission. We strive to make the nicest possible ice cream in the nicest possible way. We manage our company for sustainable financial growth, and finally, in my opinion, most importantly, use our company in innovative ways to make the world a better place through our social mission. With social mission as one of the key pillars of Ben & Jerry's, it is integrated to every aspect of our business, from fair trade ingredients to our linked prosperity model, a caring dairy program and B Corp certification. We consider ourselves to be a social justice company that makes ice cream. In Australia, this manifests in many different ways. Across our network of 20 franchisee-owned scoop shops, every store undertakes quarterly social mission activities. The teams might support a local charity or organisation by scooping ice cream, raising money for a charity, donating blood, doing beach cleans. And every year, our network fundraises for Half Cut. Half Cut's an Australian charity that's working with traditional custodians in the world oldest rainforest, the Daintree in far north Queensland, to heal country through restoring landscape, culture, and language. Today, Ben & Jerry's has collectively raised $400,000 for Half Cut. Our franchisees and scoopers choose Ben & Jerry's because they share our values and our vision for the future. And they share our pride in representing a brand that is about so much more than just ice cream. But our activism agenda takes this one step further. In our largest 6 markets, the US, UK, Netherlands, Germany, France, and Australia, we have full-time activism managers, myself included, who work with a dedicated annual budget to support campaigns that focus on 3 key areas: social justice, refugee justice, and climate justice. Here in Australia, our focus is on climate justice. In the 17 years that Ben & Jerry's has been here in Australia, we've led campaigns to stop the expansion of coal mines near the Great Barrier Reef, supported and toured a documentary about the harms of seismic blasting in the Southern Ocean, created a pint supporting the people of the Torres Strait, and most recently, toured a documentary about a coalition of farmers, First Nations people, and trail runners coming together to stop a coal seam gas project in northwest New South Wales. Our vision is to use our privilege and platforms to drive our fans to take action, and we partner with large and grassroots organisations to drive that systemic change. And our activism with our partners is underpinned by our shared values. We stand for progressive social change, and we seek to work with partners who share those values with us. And the partners that we work with, we don't come in and tell them what to do. We back their campaigns that they already have. These range from national grassroots organisations, including 350.org and Surfrider, to hyper-local ones such as Emu Parade on Sydney's northern beaches. We stay in contact with a range of values-aligned brands and businesses and non-for-profits so we can support their campaigns when they need it and where they need it. And what is our purpose in having these campaigns? Primarily is to drive action. We are a digital-first brand, so this might look like signing petitions, sending letters to MPs, sharing content online, or providing educational resources. We are supported by local agencies and the internal global Ben & Jerry's team to track everything so we can work out what's working and fold that into future campaigns to make sure that every dollar drives action. This allows us to measure impact, not just impressions. For example, our 2024 Surfrider Save the Southern Sea campaign translated to a reach of 19.9 million people, 2,500 emails sent to federal MPs, and 109 pieces of media coverage. And the ultimate impact? 6 months later, the proponents pulled the program, protecting 7.7 million hectares of Southern Ocean from seismic blasting. This is the kind of impact that we want to be part of. I'm getting a bit into the weeds here because I feel like I really want to share this with different brands and companies so you can see how it might integrate into where you're working with. So with our digital approach, we use our digital and social channels to advance our activism work. And we have 3 key streams that we focus on. The first one is Always On, which is integrating our social mission communications and posts into organic content. Second is paid campaigns, which are paid social media campaigns that support the work that our partners are doing, that run for multiple weeks and driving a key action. And finally, flashpoints, occasions like elections or key government decisions where we want to leverage current moments and to educate and advance our ongoing work on key issues and provide really clear ways for our fans to take action and join the movement and build power. And these issues aren't solved in a 3 or 6 or even 12-month process. The issues that we look to solve are long-term issues. In Australia, we've been focusing on the role of gas in our climate crisis, and that's something that unfortunately isn't going anywhere. So we're here for the long haul. And last year we tried something new, as I mentioned, our always-on activism strategy. Until this point, our activism had been predominantly campaign focused and therefore fluctuated. Through this always-on model, we post weekly content onto our social channels that delves more deeply into the campaigns we support. We try to create content that is both engaging and easy to understand, underpinned by the Ben & Jerry's relaxed tone of voice. It's also a bit of an experiment. We really look into the engagement data and things like comments and shares to understand what our audience want, what they understand and what they don't understand, which helps inform future content choices. For example, this year we came out in support of changing the date of Australia Day. This was a considered decision as our brand represents over 20 franchisees, which are small businesses across the country. And these people interact every day with our fans. But as a team and brand that stands for progressive social change, supporting the campaign to change the date was completely aligned with our values. We created a series of social media posts that aimed to educate people about why we should change the date in an approachable, non-judgmental way. These organic posts were super popular. Our fans overwhelmingly supported our speaking out, and we had a lot of new people join our community. Yes, there was plenty of negative comments, but if you're not getting pushback, you're not saying it loudly enough. And this year, we're rolling out an internal reconciliation plan across our Scoop Shop network so we can take franchisees and our hundreds of part-time scoopers on the journey to understanding truth, treaty and justice with us so we can grow on this campaign year on year. We are creating our own plan that accounts for the unique nature of Ben & Jerry's business. It's not perfect, but it's something. And that is a key lesson I've learnt during my time, not only at Ben & Jerry's, but through my different experiences. You can't let perfect be the enemy of good. You have to start, adapt, and learn along the way. But I do appreciate that I'm standing between us and Friday afternoon drinks. So to close this out, I wanted to share some of the key questions that guide our activism work at Ben & Jerry's and some of the guardrails that we use to guide us. These are some of the questions that we ask ourselves before we put content out. The digital world is noisy and we don't want to add unnecessary hot takes to an already overwhelmed space. How can we actually contribute in a worthwhile way to the conversation? How can we bring our fans on the journey with us and cultivate them into becoming aspiring activists? Earning the right to speak is also incredibly important to us. There are many social justice issues we could speak up about. My colleagues in the US and Europe do this on the daily. But with climate justice as our focus here in Australia, we stay consistent and on topic. One campaign feeds into the other. So over time, we can build understanding and action in meaningful ways. And finally, we want to avoid content for content's sake. More is not more. We need to make sure that we're putting out aligns with our goals and drives our key actions. We constantly ask ourselves, what is it we're trying to do or say with this campaign? And what is the call to action? How does this help build the movement? If your brand or business is more keen to be outspoken, or you as an individual are, I highly encourage that you do. And these are some of the guardrails that we use to make sure that we do it in a fair way. Our goal is to educate people about injustice and empower them to take action. Firstly, we're not afraid to call out who's responsible, in particular elected representatives. We focus who has the power to actually force change. We platform those who are affected and those who are trying to fix these systemic injustices. When everyone was posting black tiles during the Black Lives Matter movement, the US Ben & Jerry's team posted a post that said, "Dismantle white supremacy." This post went viral because it cut to the very core of the issue. We acknowledge that we are in an immense position of privilege, and we use our platform to partner our people, our partners, and places that benefit from our amplification. And most importantly, as our co-founder Jerry Greenfield said, if it's not fun, why do it? Injecting humour, fun and hope in what we do is vital, not just for our own well-being, but for our partners and our franchisees and our fans. If we just sold ice cream, we'd be irrelevant. Thank you all for your time. And I look forward to catching up with you in the foyer afterwards and reach out if you've got any questions. Thank you.